Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. Today we have with us Aditya. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Aditya Nagrath, Dr. Nagrath. I'm the founder of the Elephant Learning Mathematics Academy. On average, children in our system learn a year and a half of math over the course of 10 weeks when they use just 30 minutes per week. And I'm also the author of the book, Treating Mathematics Anxiety. So we also have coaching programs that help students that are having mathematics anxiety.
Oh, wow. Okay, you said a mouthful, especially math anxiety. You you kind of triggered me because I definitely have math anxiety. I taught English, so I stay away from numbers unless I'm using a calculator. How did we get on this journey? How did you get to this math, a love of math, basically?
Well, I have a PhD in math and computer science from the University of Denver. And what I learned was that 4 out of 5 students start kindergarten unprepared for the kindergarten curriculum. And what that ends up meaning is that there's a gap in the language. So they're just maybe not as familiar with the language around the numbers. And that gap in understanding tends to get bigger over time. It's the top 20% income earners whose students enter kindergarten prepared. And they tend to actually move up, meaning that their scores go higher. And that basically indicates that if you came in able to understand the teacher, then the education system worked for you. And so then the question is could we fill that gap so that if you're 2 or 3 years behind, which is the average from the low income neighborhood to the high income neighborhood, could you then participate in class? And that's what Elephant Learning was then designed to do. And we believe we're seeing success with that because we get testimonials consistently that say, my student used to hate mathematics, but now they enjoy math class. And that's what we consider a win.
Nice. So you've always been into numbers, like that has been your thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it that way, but yeah,
You have a PhD in math, sir.
Yeah.
You like it. You like it a lot.
It doesn't mean that I always liked it. It's like, well, yeah, you played tennis professionally, but there was a time I was born.
Okay, so how do we get to picking math? Like, how do you get there?
Pre-K math.
Homeschool families. Homeschool Yo Kids Expo and Homeschool Beats Academy are teaming up to bring you a day of real support and real inspiration. Come explore curriculum and enrichment, meet trusted vendors, and connect with the homeschool community. And at our featured Expo stop, meet Homeschool Beats Academy and see how students ages 7 to 18 can create original music through beat making and production with parent-friendly guidance. Get dates and details at homeschoolyokidsexpo.com.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you said, what you said about kindergarten starting not equipped for kindergarten curriculum, that is definitely a spot on issue. I always focus on the literacy side of it. I'm always on that side as opposed to the number side. So I never thought about that deficiency in kids.
In language, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So the idea is that a lot of things are moving towards conceptual mathematics, which is actually mathematics as a language. And what we're really talking about is, can the student use the idea to solve a problem? And so when you're thinking about multiplication, the question is do I see a problem in the world, or maybe a word problem, where then I'm able to identify, well, if I multiply these two numbers, I'll be able to answer that question, sort of story. And that's what they now conceptually define as understanding multiplication. And the thing is that if you have that, then memorizing the multiplication tables is actually a useful activity, because you're seeing how do I apply, this multiplication, what am I memorizing towards actually, something that could be useful, you know what I mean? But the problem is that we don't always have that. We have sometimes the memorization of the multiplication table without that understanding, and that kid's experience is, why am I doing this? And that's what they're saying out loud to you, which is, why am I doing this? And so that's a consistent story, is what I call it. You know what I mean?
Indeed. I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and we were talking about financial literacy. And I just threw out there that maybe, if we didn't do the Algebra 2 and maybe just did Algebra 1 and a financial literacy class, and then like the geometry and all the other things. But like, are those both necessary, Algebra 1 and Algebra 2? Like, we need those? Like, do you feel like we need those?
Well, the challenge is that with the finances, we do have some ability to do these exponential type things, right? That's literally, the interest rate becomes an exponential type growth thing. I mean, you don't maybe necessarily see it at under 1%. Like, now the savings rate's higher. You might be able to see it, but at 3% also, it takes a longer time to see. But the point is that like these ideas, right? These ideas of, if you're saving, if you're investing, if you see this kind of growth trajectory, I mean, how do you get there without understanding the functions that are occurring underneath, and or the operators, if you want to consider it that way? And so, like, I mean, is everything that we do in Algebra 2 relevant to financial literacy? Maybe the answer is no, because, like, theoretically speaking, we're focused on, like, hey, we're going to teach mathematics. At least that's the way the curriculum is built today. But like, at the same time, the question is like, this tends to be the problem when you're talking about the mathematics anxiety, right? We're actually discussing a set of tools that is applicable in a whole bunch of different fields. And when you're specifically speaking about algebra, and I mean, like, when you're just thinking about mathematics, you don't split into Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. You say, there's algebra. You know what I mean? And so, like, when you're specifically talking about algebra, you're actually, from a student's perspective.
Homeschool families, are you ready to refresh your plans for the year? Join us at the Homeschool Your Kids Expo. Meet curriculum and enrichment vendors, discover new programs, and connect with a community that gets it, all in one place. Come with questions, leave with real options. Get event details and register now at homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com. That's homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com.
You're talking about the introduction to the written language of mathematics, because after a certain point in time, we're not executing the calculations. The assumption is you'll find a way to execute the calculations, but really you're talking about variables, you're talking about functions, you're talking about, and you're talking about it in a concrete scenario. For example, when you're studying to be an airline pilot, you have to be able to pass those physics tests, and those physics tests are all like Boyle's law, and the equations that are making the thing stay in the air, making the machine stay in the air. And like they feel like it's important that you understand that, but like it's important that you understand that, and it's important that you understand that from a feeling perspective, actually being out there too. So it's like the experience of actually flying, but they consider both important. You see what I'm saying? And so the challenge is that, like, yeah, sure, I have to talk about this idea, the idea of addition, before I can talk about addition with money. And if everything has to be, well, hey, you're going to do this with money. It's like they couldn't understand what money was, because like that's another abstract topic, right? But like obviously by the time they get to algebra, they know what money is.
No, I was just saying, like, I was just thinking, like, do we need both? Because you have pre-algebra, then you got algebra 1, you got algebra 2, algebra 2 tree, algebra, like all of it goes the same, right? So that's why I'm just saying, like, by all means. And financial literacy is more than just investments and learning ratio and all that good stuff. That's more, it's daily. It's a daily daily budgeting, savings, just understanding better. Yeah.
It just boils down to some very, very simple mathematics, which is how much money is coming in and how much money is going out.
It is that simple.
And the problem is the math anxiety is what wants to complicate it for us. That's typically the action of the ego, which is let's complicate this scenario. And the reason why, because we've studied this to the nth degree, is because if it's not complicated, then I'm not smart. So
I'm okay with it not being complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
So, okay, what led you to write the anxiety math book then? What got you there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it's like part of like the challenge of delivering a math program is you're triggering people's mathematics anxieties. There's a lot of should around how math is taught. Meaning that I think it should be taught this way. And if you don't teach it this way, I'm very angry. And like it would come down to absurd scenarios. So like we are promising in our system that we will teach 1 year of mathematics in 3 months if you use our system 10 minutes a day, 3 days per week. And I would have people come back to me and say, we can't do this because we don't like the voice. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying to you. Is like, okay, very clearly, like maybe you don't understand the value proposition. You bought that. That's what you bought. The question is the result. And by the way, you can change the voice, though, in the next, not 100%. We're going to allow that. But we put a whole bunch of voices in there so that, like, if you have this excuse, just change it to a voice you like. But like, that's so then we had to sit down and we had to truly understand what is driving it. And so that's what we did. And that's what's in the book. Okay.
Understanding that. Because we talk about math teachers, because that's where we got our lessons from. And another conversation I had a couple of days ago, just remembering math. I remembered my 7th grade math teacher. I remember my 10th grade math teacher. I remember, I remember these people, not because of positives, of course, like because of some negative, and I don't know. I feel like maybe that's when my issue with math, I'm having a therapy session right now, but I feel like that's where my issue with math came about, like 7th grade. Miss Johnson was just so not nice. It was just like, why are you like this? And so then associating her with that, and then going to the high school level where I was just so lost.
The question is like, does it mean something to them when the ball doesn't go in the hoop? So what we do in the book very early on, just so that we can use the analogy just in the book, is we introduce what I call the basketball analogy. And this is like basketball and mathematics are the same in that anyone can look and see, did the ball go into the hoop? And the thing is that when it comes to basketball, if the ball doesn't go into the hoop, it's certainly not the end of the world. You're just going to shoot again. And the problem is with mathematics, sometimes we don't feel like it's that way. And so, like, the question then is like, how do you, introducing this analogy is one way, but like, how do you start to look at it differently, right? Because the ball's not going to go in the hoop every single time, especially not when you're learning. And then certainly later on, you kind of want it to go in at least 95% of the time. If you're working for NASA and it doesn't go in, then something's up on Mars and you did the math in meters and it's supposed to be in feet. And that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like that, that's what you're supposed to try to prevent. But at the end of the day, this boils down to, again, how mature are you with that conversation and that separation, and then the ability to say, well, no, but we're going to double check, triple check, quadruple check to make sure that this bridge is not going to fall down.
I get that. However, we want the ball in the hoop, which is the answer, right? What about the getting to the answer part? Because, now they have the math where it's different. I don't know if it's the core math that they're using in schools now, where like you got to do some like crossing, like I don't know. In my opinion, and this is just me, it's like making it more complicated than it needs to be. It's like you can find the answer, but if you don't find it exactly this way, then this is wrong. And I think that's where math becomes an issue for me. It's because it's like, okay, I got this answer, but you want me to show you how I got this answer. But if I get it my way, that's not a good thing. That's like, even though I got the answer, even though I got the ball in the hoop, I didn't get the ball in the hoop how you told me. Like my follow through wasn't like you told me to do it. So it doesn't count.
Well, so this is one of these subjects that's maybe a little bit more complicated because there's so many human beings involved. And so like the idea of Common Core, that's the standard, right? So the standard was shifted, as I mentioned earlier, to then kind of test, do you understand it? Rather than can you potentially perform the calculation. Now, the problem is that you have the other side of the equation, which is the organization of what is the education system in the United States of America. And like, first of all, like there's states that, we've adopted Common Core as the standard, like California. And then there's states that said, no, we're going to have our own standard, which fine, right? So that's the standard side, right? That's like, did you kind of get the students to meet that standard, the government standard? And the other side of that then is the teachers, the curriculum, the administration, right, all the way up to the superintendent and the state and blah 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 blah. And so like that's the actual implementation of how do I get the student to meet the standard. And so like, this is where like, when you're doing this like on paper and in books and like, it's just a strange thing, right? But at the end of the day, they're doing the thing that we all kind of understand. And then after that, because the idea is like, do you understand the idea? Now we're trying to get children to talk about ideas that are so fundamental that even adults don't think they can put it into words. And like, because I've had so much practice trying to do it, I can do it. But like, I can understand why my son is looking at me and saying, but that's the answer. He's freaking out, right? I get it, right? Probably 10 years ago before I started doing this, I might have been doing the same thing. Well, 11 years ago now, I've been doing it for 10. So like, before that, I'm like, yeah, right. But like that is half. Then the problem is that like typically this is one-on-one work. I talk with you, I get that you get it, and now we walk away with we both seem to have an understanding of this idea. But then the question is, when you did it on a piece of paper, then you have to be able to write down so that they could look at it. And that might be too advanced for the fourth grader or the fifth. You see what I'm saying? So like, I don't know how to advise people on a solution on that, because again, every single classroom does it slightly different.
Just different. Yeah, indeed. So you've created a program. This is a virtual program that you go through that for a year that you would spend in a traditional classroom, you can do it in 3 months. You can learn that whole curriculum in 3 months.
We focus on mathematics as a language. We're supplemental, so it means we don't hit every single standard, but we focus on the fundamental topics, meaning that, like, again, if you understand addition, now your chances of understanding addition on a clock or understanding addition with money in the second grade or first grade, it's much, much higher, right? Because you understand the fundamental addition topic instead of trying to, oh, well, I'm just going to add on more abstract topics to the thing that you're not getting in the first place. And so the hope was, by doing that, right? So then rather than spending all of our time hitting all of these topics, if we just focus on these essential topics, we're able to get the student to catch up and participate in the classroom. So let me give you the concrete example of that, which is that, again, in low-income neighborhoods, they're 2 to 3 years behind their funded peers, which means you have students in third grade trying to learn multiplication, and their understanding is like number sense, maybe maybe beginning addition. And that's a difficult now situation for both the teacher and the student, because the student's on addition and multiplication is repetitive addition. So like without understanding addition, this is just not going to happen. And so like that was the goal. Like, can we get them these essential topics so that now when they're showing in our system with an elephant age of 9, which is about 3rd grade, sure, they understand the teacher when she's talking about multiplication and the ancillary things, and we're going to do multiple digits and etc. And like these cross things and whatever they see, they end up seeing it. It's a new way to see a problem that they're already familiar with. And they did that in our system with very, very straightforward activities, because it's iOS, Android, it's an app. The activity research driven. They were all proven to teach the mathematics as a conceptually as a language.
And 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week.
10 minutes a day, 3 times a week. So 30 minutes a week.
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We started with very, very young students. So like theoretically, if they just do 5 minutes in a day, they still see results. But the idea was like, if you can focus for 10 minutes, that's enough time. And then you got some time outside of the system to think about it.
Nice. Okay. And this starts, what age range do you, this program for?
We've seen success with students as young as 2. We've seen 3-year-olds whose vocabulary maybe is not quite ready yet. And we cover through Algebra, which is Algebra 2, according to the school. And so then we don't limit the age level on the top, because if you're struggling with upper level mathematics, many times it has to do with the misunderstanding that occurred in algebra earlier. And so then our system will hopefully fill those gaps for you. And now you go to class with a completely different attitude.
Okay. So, but you said this is supplement. You supplement this.
Yeah.
So this is in addition to regular lessons.
So yeah, you'd have to pair with the traditional curriculum in order to take state exams or SATs or whatever, right? Because those are geared towards still like some sort of performance and some sort of et cetera. And like all of these ancillary topics, can you get this sub case of whatever, right? But again, we're kind of focused on the primary ideas. So like for algebra, do you understand what a variable is? Do you understand what a function is? Can you play with them? Can you design them? Can you manipulate them, etc.?
Okay, cool. All right. So they have to have some kind of foundation, or they do not.
No, this is the foundation. Yeah.
You're establishing the foundation.
Yeah. We're the foundation. Then you add the curriculum on top, and then the curriculum is easier to understand because you've already got the core ideas.
Okay. Cool. And this is your brainchild.
Yeah, I mean, another professor of mathematics. Yeah.
Okay. And you spent time in the classroom?
Well, I was the GTA while I was getting my PhD for, I guess, 7 some years. That's, teaching calculus, differential equations, blah, 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 blah.
He just writes nothing big, nothing major.
Whatever calculus, multivariate calculus and whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds promising. I would love to check it out, definitely. Because math is an issue for me. I don't want it to be an issue for my girls, but I have prolonged doing math because of it being an issue with me. So I'm trying to get out of that.
So that makes sense. Be happy to give you an account if it'd be helpful.
Yes, and I want to read your book. Heal me, sir. I need to heal. Nice. Okay, so how do parents find you?
Well, you find us on elephantlearning.com. Everything's there. If you're looking for the Treating Math Anxiety book, I recommend Amazon. And you can always find me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, wherever you like to hang out, I guess.
Okay. Well, I have 2 questions that I typically ask everyone. One being with all that you do and create and write and author and everything else, how do you make sure you self-care? How do you self-care?
Well, I wake up around 5:30 in the morning. I got like a steam sauna. I do some stretching in there, and sometimes I'll do the walk-in. But then I also make sure that on my calendar I have the stuff. So like I got a trainer. I can't miss that, or the trainer is like, what am I going to do for a living?
Right.
It's like there's a human being there that has to meet me, or the other way around. And then. I mean, there's just so much, I'll be honest. But anyway.
Well, no, it's important. I mean, I like it. Go ahead. You do the sauna, you train. What else?
With a coach, for a business coach that had like a thing where it's like you have to track, like, are you eating healthy? Are you putting in enough exercise? Are you taking care of yourself emotionally? Are you taking care of like, and then do you have goals? Are you doing things in life? So for a little while I was doing that, but now at this point it's just integrated habit.
Nice. You have done it enough that it's just second nature now. So
yeah. When I need it, I end up waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning. When I don't need it, I end up waking up at 7. So it's
okay. Listening to your body. No, it's important. You'd be surprised how many times I ask that question and people don't have a regimen at all. They don't do any kind of self-care, something that they're still learning or working towards. And I'm just always like, no, you need it now, but you have a grand understanding of that. So, I'm glad to hear.
Awesome.
I'm glad to hear. 3 things you would want to tell parents or have them, if they didn't hear anything else in this conversation, what's 3 things you want them to take away from this conversation?
Well, okay. So first is mathematics as a language, and this idea that like we have to meet the student at their level of understanding. The best way to think about that is, again, the basketball analogy. So that'd be the second thing. But using the basketball analogy, the hoop has to be at the level where they can throw it. Like if it's just too, it's not going to work. You got to come down and meet them at their level, and then you can keep incrementing it. And the third thing is the number one thing that we recommend. So to work with the student, whether they have math anxiety or not, is you have to believe they can do it. You have to tell them that you believe they can do it. And then as long as they're with you, they have an implicit agreement that they're going to try to do it because they're going to want to fulfill your belief that they can do it.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Parents, if you are looking to supplement math, as I definitely am, make sure you check out support. Like there is plenty of resources available. There are experts who have created systems that will ensure results. Check them out. Don't struggle through or don't think that you have to know it all, because I know I do not, by all means. And that's why I'm really trying to get over my little issues with math. Because it is a part of our everyday life and there's no way around numbers because that is how things function. So yes. Anything else, sir?
No, that's pretty much it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Of course. Families, parents, always home.